So the American Rescue Plan is something that President Biden signed back in law or into law back in March. And part of that plan was 385 billion was sent out to each state. Each state received a huge amount of billions and billions of dollars to turn around and pay their residents money. So good news for a lot of states right now. They're going to be stepping up and sending out stimulus checks to people in their residence. I'm going to cover a lot of news about the stimulus checks and what's happening right now. Looks like the unemployment, they're going to be coming back. The House of Representatives are going to be coming back to negotiate this giant $3.5 trillion budget plan. This is hopefully going to have the extensions of the unemployment. Hopefully we'll have the fourth stimulus check in this bill and maybe extending out a lot of the programs that are happening right now, a lot of stimulus. There are reoccurring payments that are going out every month. In fact, the 15th of every month, it looks like reoccurring payments are set up and going out. The Senate did approve the infrastructure plan that's going to be creating more jobs for roads, bridges, infrastructure of the United States. So they did approve that infrastructure plan, but it has to go over to the House of Representatives. Nancy Pelosi, they have to come together, the Democrats, and they have to vote on this to get this done. So I want to cover a lot of the news and updated data of what's happening with stimulus checks right now. There's a lot of new data coming out pretty much every day about what's happening in Congress, what's happening in Washington to get more money out to those that need it the most. So it's good news for some of the states. And I always say this is good because this is going to show a lot of the other governors that they need to take that money that they received from a stimulus and turn it around and give it to their residents. California is leading the way on this. If you live in California, you're going to be receiving a $600 stimulus check plus a $500 bonus for children or dependents also. You have to make less than $75,000. You got to live in California, and you can actually collect on this money with an ITIN number. So you don't need necessarily a social security number, which always has been in the past how to get your stimulus payment. But you do have to file with the, I believe it's the Franchise Tax Board in California for that stimulus check. A lot of the other states too, Colorado, $375 is going to be going out for those that filed for unemployment in Colorado. Maryland is sending out $500 and then $300 for individuals who earned income tax credit. That was basically if you fell below a certain amount of money, you would file earned income tax credit and you'd be able to get that money back. New Mexico, they're put aside $5 million for states aid. There, I think it's a little low. New Mexico received, I think, $1.8 billion in that American Rescue Plan, so $5 billion is not that much. Florida did come up with a $101 billion budget plan for their state, and that is going to be having $1,000 payments going out to frontline workers, and it's going to be going out to frontline workers, and it's going out to teachers in Florida. So if you are in Florida, you should probably have already seen those bonuses if you're a teacher or a frontline worker. Georgia, same thing. They're sending out teachers, administrators $1,000, part-time teachers $500. Michigan would send out $500 hazard pay. Tennessee is $1,000 for teachers labeled hazard pay and bonuses. Part-time teachers as $500. And then you have Texas. Is Georgia? Yeah, Georgia's on there. Texas was statewide, hasn't really come up with any type of stimulus, but individual cities are going to be sending out stimulus payments. So you have $2,000 from Irvine, and then that is going to be good news for a lot of teachers in that city. So look for other states to come up with new incentives for stimulus. The federal government looks like they're going to try to get more stimulus out to everybody individually, but it looks like individual states already have a ton of money into their treasury. If you are in a state that is not getting any type of aid, try to reach out to your legislative people in your state capital. Also try to reach out to the governor if you can. Let them know that they do have money in their treasury and they can turn around and start paying out their residents. So there is this big push for a fourth stimulus check. You have a lot of Democrats in the House of Representatives and Democrats in the Senate that are trying to push for a new stimulus. There is this Support Act. This is going to be something that should get out more stimulus. They're trying to get a monthly payment set up in this. I think the Support Act is going to get out $1,200 payments to everybody, but this is something that has to pick up steam and has to get Nancy Pelosi and all of them to agree on this and try to put this in. I don't know if they're going to try to slip in a new stimulus package in this $3.5 trillion budget plan. They're just going to have to wait to come back and do that. Unfortunately, it looks like Congress, they take off a couple weeks in the summer, which to me, they should be back trying to negotiate some type of new stimulus plan. There is this whole pandemic that's happening right now, and it looks like the states might be shutting down their economies again. I don't know why, it seems crazy, but lockdowns just didn't work. And there's no way you're going to get everybody on board with lockdowns. It's just impossible. It looks like places like New Zealand, that's the only place that we're able to get everybody locked down, but you just won't be able to do it in the United States. It's impossible. So they should scrap the lockdowns and continue on with businesses being safe in their own place.
The relief bill is still winding its way through Congress, but today, 10 Democratic senators are laying down a marker for the next stimulus package. They're calling on President Biden to make sure that his massive infrastructure and investment plan includes an extension of unemployment benefits and recurring stimulus checks, and importantly, that those benefits are tied to broader economic conditions. Well, this idea of automatic stabilizers has won the backing of key Senate committee chairmen Bernie Sanders, Ron Wyden, and Sherrod Brown. In a new letter to President Biden, they wrote, "This crisis is far from over, and families deserve certainty that they can put food on the table and keep a roof over their heads. Families should not be at the mercy of constantly shifting legislative timelines and ad hoc solutions." Enhanced unemployment benefits will run out in just about 2 weeks. The current relief bill would extend them through the end of August, but after that, lawmakers and workers would face another cliff. Now, I've talked to unemployed workers about this, and they told me that they feel burned that their benefits will be cut off at an arbitrary date, and that lawmakers' promises of making those benefits retroactive haven't panned out. So you can see how the fight on Capitol Hill is already starting over what happens after relief gets passed. Well, the reality is that there's actually bipartisan support for the idea of tying these benefits to economic conditions. This is something that Republicans in the Bipartisan Problem Solvers Caucus had supported during previous rounds of negotiations. They called them boosters. But the biggest issue with it is that it can be complicated to explain to both other lawmakers and to the public. And then lawmakers would have to also agree on what the metrics would be for when the benefits would go up or be phased out. So some of the data points that lawmakers are talking about to tie these benefits to would be primarily either the unemployment rate or the employment to population ratio. So that way, if the job market is looking really lousy, then they'd be able to give unemployed workers bigger benefits. Once the job market looks a little bit better, some of those extra supports would then fade away. The question, though, is would this just be in place during the pandemic, or are we moving to a system where all benefits are being considered on a sliding scale? And there is differing opinions on how long this type of new policy should.
There was a huge increase in food stamps. If you haven't seen that, but there's about 42 million Americans that are on this SNAP benefit program. It looks like 36.24 per person per month. That's the increase. So that would be pretty good. It's a pretty good increase. I think it was the highest increase in, 40, 45 years or something like that in this program. So if you are picking up those SNAP benefits, this is definitely good. It's going to be something that, the SNAP benefits can only be used on groceries, meaning that the targeted investment will also help to grow the food economy, creating thousands of new jobs along the way. So yes, it's good if the growth economy, if they're spending a ton of money into a certain area, it's always good to jump into those areas, like the infrastructure plan that they're going to be putting together. They're going to be building roads and bridges and infrastructure for the United States. Those are going to be great jobs to get into right now, because that's where most of the money is going to be flowing into. So states like, which saw the most benefits of the SNAP program, are going to be California, Tennessee, Texas, Florida, and North Carolina. This is the states that are going to see the biggest increase in these SNAP programs. One of the things that's good about the United States is that you can move from state to state if you feel like the benefits are not very good in a certain state. For instance, if you feel like California is going to be giving out more money in stimulus, you can move to California and hopefully pick up those benefits. That's one thing that I've seen, like in Europe and all that, they don't have those luxuries of moving from state to get more benefits. Good thing in the United States is that we can do that. So if you thinking about increasing your SNAP programs and you're not living in California, Tennessee, Texas, Florida, North Carolina, then it's a great time to pack up and move. And I personally think that the infrastructure plan, if they really get out there and they spend that much money, that every state is going to benefit from that. So every state's going to need roads, every state's going to need bridges, and all that infrastructure set up. So any type of those businesses are really going to, people are going to benefit from that increase in funding. Looks like people are still getting tax refunds, but there is a big holdup. There's about 29 million returns that are being processed manually right now. I guess the IRS is under a tremendous amount of pressure as far as getting more stimulus out. Looks like 69 million refunds done so far from 91 million filed in the 2020 year. So that is a huge amount of money, or a huge amount of people that have filed their returns. So that they're just trying to get these out there. There is a Where's My Refund on the IRS website. You can go there and you can check out when your refund will be available to you. And that's something that you got to go to the website. You got to fill out that information on the Treasury website. Once you do that, you can get data on the status of your refund check. So Where's My Refund is a tool that you can go to, and you can check out the refund. You can see when it's coming, how much you're getting, all that good stuff. Just go to the IRS website and look for the Where's My Refund tool. So every month, it looks like the Treasury is still sending out those checks for child tax credit. There's about 9 out of 10 people who have received the credit within 21 days before September 3rd. So they are processing those too. So the IRS is processing refunds, and they're also processing the child tax credit checks. So check the IRS child tax portal. You can track when the IRS sent your payment for both online and mail payments. Checks to your bank. It may sound obvious, but it could be worth checking again. It will appear in your bank account under the name of IRS TREAS 310. And then also, if you wait 5 days after the expected date of when you're getting your check, you can file a trace to see if that check is available to you. One of the things, a question I get a lot is, I've never received the first or second check for my stimulus. If you have not received those 2 checks, if you go to the non-filers tool on the Treasury website, there is a section on there. It's called Recovery Rebate Credit. You can go on there and say, I never received the first 2 checks. The Treasury will check it, and then they'll send out those payments to you. So you want to double check with the Treasury so you can see when those stimulus checks will be sent out. But right now, the child tax credit is $300 per month per child between the age of 6 and 17. $250 will be sent for between 6 and 17. $300 is for children under the age of 6. So this is the one lump sum of $3,600 that each child will be getting. This is multiplied by how many children you have. I know a lot of people are saying, well, I don't have any children, I'm older. I get it. That's going to probably come in the next infrastructure plan, or maybe even the next budget plan for the 4th stimulus check. But for right now, those that make less than $75,000, we're going to be getting that child tax credit if you're single. And then you have $112,500 or less for heads of household, and $150,000 or less for married couples filing for joint return, and qualified widows or widowers. So that is good news for those who do have children. You will be receiving that check every month through the end of December, and then you receive an $1,800 check in March of next year. So look for that. Now, I think in the new families plan that President Biden is trying to put together, he's trying to extend these out through the year 2025. So he wants to extend out the child tax credit for the next 4 or 5 years. So if you do have children under the age of 17, you're going to be getting a check probably in the mail or deposit into your accounts for the next 3 or 4 years, which is going to be good for a lot of families.
I want to talk today about what we're going to do to try to ease the burden on families right now. For millions of families, help is on the way right now thanks to the American Rescue Plan. Friday, about 40 million families will receive their second monthly payment as part of our tax cut for families with children. There are going to be some ups and downs, but I am committed to making sure that our historic economic recovery reaches everyone. This time reaches everyone and eases the burden on working families, not just this year, but for the years to come.
So the $300 unemployment looks like it's going to be running out here in September. A lot of the states have closed this down, but some states actually tried to close it down. They had to reopen it. So Indiana, Maryland, Arkansas, and Oklahoma announced their intention to scrap the relief measures, but courts order officials to reintroduce the cash following successful lawsuits. Now, September 6th is coming up, and I don't know what the federal government is going to be doing with this. I know they're trying to push this out. It's something that President Biden can't just sign an executive order. They have to create a bill in order to pass that. So they do create some type of employment bill, whatever, that Congress votes on. Then they can extend out the unemployment benefits. But I have not heard anything from Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer whether they're going to actually extend that out. Now, there were incentives in some of the states to people to go back to work. So Arizona Governor Doug Ducey back to work program saw unemployment Americans that accept a part-time job receive a $1,000 bonus. So it says Americans that were previously unemployed pocket an extra $2,000 if they start a full-time role. So Arizona is trying to get people back to work, trying to get them back into the workforce, and they're giving incentives to get people back to work. To me, that is a great incentive. Try to get people back working, because there are about 10 million jobs available throughout the United States that are unfilled right now. There's actually more jobs available then people are actually looking for jobs. And so any state that does some type of incentive to try to get people back to work, to me, is a really good thing. So we have this giant petition. This is $2,000. It's per month. There's 3 million signatures on this. This is going to put a lot of pressure on Congress to get a new payment going out. They're going to try to use, I think, what's called a reconciliation process, where they take the unemployment data and they look at the unemployment data. If it goes to a certain level, they're going to send checks out. If it goes down to a certain level, they might not send checks out. That would be the best way to get reoccurring payments set up. So right now, this whole petition to try to get 3 million signatures, I think it's important because it'll show the Congress that yes, people want to get these reoccurring payments set up. And I do believe they have to have some type of reoccurring payment set up if these states are going to start to shut down their economies again. But for right now, it's about 2.76, almost close to 2.8 million signatures that have signed this. And that's good, pretty good. It's a lot of signatures going into this. If you want to add to this, you can go to change.org and you can look for the $2,000 monthly payments set up by Stephanie Bonin. She created on change.org, and you can go there and you can sign it and you can add your name to this. And I think that'd be good news for a lot of people if they can just get this reoccurring payment set up. That would be tremendous for stimulus payments. Hey, so if you have any questions about this, drop those questions in the comments below. This is your daily stimulus check, updated information for today. Updated information for today. Updated information.